It's early in the morning, but harvesters are already hard at work as they weave their way along the steep slopes of the Kusterer wine estate in Esslingen, a city just south of Stuttgart. It's a difficult and dangerous job, and workers have to watch their step. Terraces run across the Schenkenberg vineyard, which ascends at a 45-degree angle. In the wine industry, this gradient is known as 100%.
You have to get used to working on such steep surfaces because it's not natural. You have to keep your foot on the bucket or lean it against the thick vines so it doesn't tip over. You keep one eye on the grapes and one eye on the vines.
After a while, this takes its toll on the body. And when harvesters get tired, the risk of injury increases. Keeping their balance is especially hard for the workers who carry heavy buckets on their backs.
It's really hard on your feet when you're walking down, especially on the steep steps. It's certainly a strain on your body.
Vintner Hans Kusterer tore his meniscus right before the harvest season began, so now he can only help a little bit.
In the steep areas, it takes about 1,000 hours of work to cultivate just 1 hectare of land. When you consider the fact that it can take 250 hours to work through a relatively flat region, you can see just how time-consuming it is.
Kusterer grows 10 different kinds of grapes on his estate. He produces both red and white wines. The clay-rich soil and the intensity of the sunshine here create the perfect environment for making high-quality wines. Like Kusterer's specialty, the Riesling.
Here on the southern side, the sunlight is so intense that it's almost too much of a good thing. That's affected the types of grapes we grow. We still have our Riesling grapes because that's our trademark wine. But in the area where we used to grow just Trollinger grapes, we now have a variety, including lots of Merlot, for instance.
Around 900 years ago, vintners in Esslingen discovered that the wines produced on higher ground tasted better. They moved grapevines up from the Neckar Valley. Today, almost a third of all the vines around Esslingen are grown on the hills. Kusterer manages around 5.5 hectares of land on his estate, most of which is very steep. And he gets right in there with the rest of them. This morning's pickings were slim, but the grape's sugar content is high.
98 is wonderful. It's great.
Kusterer's wife, Monika, treats the red wine must, a mixture of juice, grape skins, and stems. The longer the red wine is allowed to ferment, the more complex the flavor. The Kusterers only produce dry wines that are aged in large wooden barrels for anywhere from 20 to 27 months. They produce some 40,000 liters of wine every year.
When you produce a good wine, 70% of the work takes place out in the vineyard, not in the wine cellar. A lot of people think it's the opposite, that you can use special techniques to change the wine in here, but you can only help it along.
1 year ago, Hans Kusterer joined together with 3 other vintners from the Rhine and Moselle River regions and northern Bavaria to create a group called the Mountain Union. To join, you have to grow wine on slopes that are 45 degrees steep. Their logo is an ibex or wild goat.
The ibex is an animal that's known for its climbing prowess. That's why it's a good symbol for representing rugged slopes and the extreme.
Extreme wine growing. It's a big challenge, but can produce a sweet reward.